Let's bring in SABC News international editor Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, it seems to be some movement on the release of those hostages. Tell me what's the latest now?
Well, the Red Cross has arrived. The cars that are going to take these 4 hostages to the southern border, where we have the military from Israel waiting with that helicopter. Those cars have arrived. I think we can't see them properly now because of many people there, but we saw them, and they had those Red Cross flag. And it speaks to the process is underway. I think now the Hamas leadership, who will be handing over these 4 prisoners or these 4 hostages, the soldiers, the women, they are almost about to arrive at this square, as you can see. So the arrival of these Red Cross minibus, it's a clear indication that it is really happening.
All right, in terms of the process itself, just walk us through once again, for perhaps those who did not catch it, Sophie. Once the release takes place, there will be a flying to a military base that you spoke to a little bit earlier on, and then obviously at some point they'll be handed over to the Red Cross. So it's a culmination here of instances. I'm not sure, that's the helicopter that I can see there.
Dropping stuff there. It's a drone. It's
all right, it's a drone.
Stuff.
It's a drone, I understand.
But I don't know what is it. But they are trying to disperse people because there are too many people there. And that car that is carrying these 4 hostages, it's not far now. It's about to arrive. So I think the drone dropped whatever they've dropped and trying to divert the attention of these people. You'd recall last week it was almost a stampede when that car that's carrying the hostages, that one that the Hamas leaders used to bring the hostages at this square arrived. It was a mayhem, and I think they are trying to
try to manage this one better.
Manage this one better, because I think even for Israel, they were not happy to see those visuals, because it spoke to how strong Hamas is on the ground. They were not able to completely destroy and dislodge Hamas. They've been able to kill many leaders, but you have more activists on the ground now.
And from what, of course, will enter the second phase that you spoke about, what new have we heard from world leaders? We're expecting, I mean, here in South Africa, South African journalists are waiting on the sidelines of a very important meeting of the ANC's National Executive Committee, Lekgotla, which is currently taking place. The former President Thabo Mbeki, we know on international issues, does not shy away. What have we heard from the world since, the implementation of the ceasefire? And as we head to this second phase, now the release of more of these soldiers, these women soldiers today.
Well, we had the new president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, talking about this process and saying that he is hoping that it will last, but he was non-committal in terms of whether all these stages will be implemented as expected. We had the Secretary General of the United Nations also raising concern, hoping and pleading with all stakeholders to ensure that this ceasefire holds and the process will happen as indicated. As you can see now, that Red Cross car, can you see it's going to take the hostages, and you can see the media now coming closer because they want to perhaps catch a glimpse of the hostages, and also just to have a first sight of those hostages. We know they are women, and we know that they are soldiers, they are just not ordinary civilians. And also in terms of South Africa, we had President Ramaphosa saying that he is happy. I mean, South Africa is vindicated because South Africa had to go to the International Court of Justice.
We see that vehicle actually moving, Sophie. Yes.
To push, you know, using international law and multilateral systems to ensure that what we see now is happening.
Yeah.
But it took time until now recently, and when you listen to what the SG said at the World Economic Forum, he said that, truth be told, Trump was able to push much as the process had started early. So yes, it looked America, Qatar, Egypt, and South Africa. People don't talk about South Africa. Taking Israel to the International Criminal Court, a small country in the south, that was a very, very brave move. And not resorting to war, but using the international means that are there to resolve issues of
we have a second vehicle,
nature.
in fact, coming through now, which means that the release of these hostages is imminent. You would know, of course, those 4 female hostages, those, of course, live pictures from Gaza. There's a third vehicle of the Red Cross, which is coming through at the moment. So stay with us here on SABC News. Let's continue with this coverage. It's imminent. Any moment now, we would expect the release of these hostages. And, of course, the families of those 4 soldiers, Karina Arif, Daniela Gilboa, Nama Levy, Lyra Albag, we understand had been informed that they'll be released. And certainly the families of those, and I guess many who now, this is a conversation, Sophie, that we had yesterday in preparation for our broadcast today when we said, while you see the release and some of these families actually go back into these areas to rebuild, there is nothing to rebuild. It's absolute devastation and destruction. And it just doesn't end there. With the release of these bodies, which is expected in the second phase, with the release of these hostages, you cannot imagine the emotional trauma would possibly be at its highest level. There another Red Cross vehicle coming through, signifying the imminence of this release of these 4 soldiers.
Yes, you are correct, Griselda. You have those cars there because it has to be a convoy so that you don't leave anything to chance, because driving to the southern border, it will only be these Red Cross cars, and therefore if anything happens, there's enough capacity to try and manage the situation. And you are correct, Griselda. Gaza is in ruins. When you look at the drone visuals, because with this reprieve or ceasefire, media was able to get some visuals. And you see those women and children walking from the north, going back to their houses, and what they find there. And it's nothing. There's nothing. Every time they arrive, there's nothing. There's nothing. You see tears. Some of them I saw yesterday in the rubbles. On the day when this ceasefire was implemented, in the morning, because there was a delay, bombardment continued. And a boy of 3 years under rubble, fortunately, he is still alive, but the family has died, the entire family. Yeah. So they missed an opportunity to live with literally hours or seconds before that ceasefire could be implemented. And therefore, that's the sad story of Gaza.